Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. As always, we meet and come together at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So, well, we've got a few things going on. At the update, I said probably the big news story today is Powell saying probably higher and longer than you think. And, of course, no one wanted I'm trying to remember what they used to give kids. Oh, castor oil. They used to give them a big, nasty tablespoon of castor oil, and the kids would probably throw up more than ever swallow it. And that was kind of I always thought it was a test, even though I don't think I ever got it. I always thought it was a test on whether or not you were actually sick. If you could stomach that, then you probably were. If you weren't, you'd probably go to school. Anyway, not much out there. We're at what should be fairly minor support at the moment. It's just about 398 on the SPYs. My guess, though, is we're going to probably get down to 395 before we see much of a bounce, if at all. We've talked about, now 2 weeks about this pattern setting up. And a good close below 4,000 today, I think, would be well on the way of confirming that. That just so many stocks went straight up. They never come back. In a market that's going to continue up for a while, you tend to get a lot of smaller pullbacks. When you don't get any of them, especially the way I look at it, which is a dip back down below the 3x3 displaced moving average, you can kind of look at a 9-day. But when they're all just way over that, it never comes back down. Everybody has to get in. That's a real kind of fear of missing out trade, and those tend to burn themselves out. The old saying is the light bulb that burns twice as bright only burns half as long. That's not actually correct. That's the bulb that burns twice as bright probably only survives maybe 15% or 20% as long. It's more logarithmic. So when you get done, you're probably going to have a pretty good move. But that double repo pattern that I like generally says you go back to where you started from. So certainly I think a lot of these moves off the January 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, where a lot of these stocks started up and just never really came down or even approached any kind of ballistic curve higher. They just went straight up for 25 days. Now we've had that kind of time where we got the little pullback. We tried to push back higher yesterday. As I said, the thing that rang in my ear, sometimes it's just something small. I'll look at the technical setup, but it's the ability for people that have probably the least interest in your success, bloviating on anything, but in this case, the stock market. Certainly. Yesterday, the whole idea of you better pay up right now on Apple was something I thought so ludicrous that it deserved shorting the market. And we're getting it. So, if we look at it over the last couple of days, is it still a little higher than Friday? Yes. But my guess is it's going to come back down with the rest of it. I've kind of said tongue-in-cheek, although I'm not totally kidding, any humor has an element of truth, that this is going to be a red pill year. Seems like every day one of my conspiracy theories comes true, either a little or a whole lot. Again, I feel red-pilled once again today. And I think it's not only on the things that we know or want to believe, but certainly the things that everybody wants to lie to us about. And, every once in a while we try to look at the market psychology through what others are doing. And we do that through charts and volume. And instead of what they're saying, we look what people are actually doing. But I love it when what they're saying doesn't match with what they're doing. One of the things that really kind of told me that there is something bigger afoot has been the I'm going to say it's fairly massive in the amount of shares of trades missing in the dark pools over the last few weeks. That told me there was something bigger going on, and I think that bigger is what we heard a little bit of today from the Fed, which is everybody knows. The numbers were going to suck, but of course they told everybody things were going to get better. Then we got a little bit more news that inflation was not as benign as everybody said, maybe a little bit of carcinogenic. Well, you know what? They said it was going to go higher. Then yesterday, they tell us Apple. Apple is a PE 25 or whatever it was. I think it was something like that yesterday. And you should just pay up. Generally, when people tell us stupid stuff like that, the first thing, or almost always the first thing I think of, is doing just the opposite. George Costanza, a pretty smart guy when it came to just doing the opposite thing when nothing he did actually worked. Other things going on in the market today, Rivian is diluting itself. What is that, RIVN? And it's down 12, 13%. I think it was, it's pretty much at the lows of the day. Very tough. And, if you really want to look at companies like this that have great ideas, their major mistake was getting in bed with Ford and letting Ford jerk them around for a year and a half to hold up production of its vehicles. There is a big, advantage to being the incumbent or the first man across a wall. And of course, Tesla has that. Ford looked at Rivian, thought they had a very good product, and decided to jerk them around for a while, and really did slow down them coming out with a product. The one thing I would say for innovators is never slow down, never give up. The speed at which you reach your market, if it's a good idea, is absolutely imperative, and Rivian is paying for its dalliance with Ford. Of course, Ford has its own EV now, but you know what? A lot of good ideas. I imagine we'll see a lot of them in other trucks, but you can't slow down, ever, in the pace of innovation and displacement theory. What is his name? Christensen. They broke a lot of the rules, and I think they're going to pay for it for a while. When we get back, Starbucks gets Karl Marxed. Joby crashes. Many other wonderful things happening today. We'll be back in a minute.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And Starbucks is CEO, Howard Schultz, is going to be dragged in front of Congress to explain why he's trying to do some union busting by his own buddy, Bernie Sanders. So, yeah, a little bit at Starbucks getting its hoisted on its own petard, as they like to say. Always a good day when that happens. Joby, we talked about this one, man, how long ago? It's been 3-4 months, and I didn't think much about it. I think someone asked whether they thought anything would come in. I brought up all the reasons why it had years and years to go before it was ever going to be a thing. Interestingly enough, for personal vehicles like that, or small, what do they call them, air taxis, that's going to be years to go ahead on it. One of the more interesting things I saw was on Friday, one of the small commuter kind of airplanes that holds 20, 30 people had its first flight. One engine is a traditional turboprop. The other engine, though, is hydrogen. And so they're working out issues on where to put the tanks and everything. But they have a contract, if this thing works out, to go to a lot of these smaller puddle jumpers, as they're called in the industry. And so far, so good. They've had, I think, 2 flights with these hydrogen fuel cell engines. The engines themselves are electric motors. But there's 2 different big companies in that right now. One's the electric motor part of it, and the other part is the hydrogen fuel cell. But it flew for an hour, came back and landed on Friday. I think they flew again yesterday. But they've got the other engine as they're working out the kinks and trying to get more stuff going on. But hydrogen may be in aircrafts a lot sooner than maybe other things, mostly because there's such a significant advantage of putting huge amounts of fuel on, since hydrogen, of course, is the lightest element that there is. But it's interesting. Let's do a little history and then we'll move on. Okay.
There it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in 1926, exactly 50 years to the day that Alexander Graham Bell received a patent that made the telephone possible. The first transatlantic telephone call was made from London to New York using radio communication technology because the phone voltages were too low to transmit through the underwater transatlantic cables. The commercial service would start less than a year later on January 7th. That's today. But in 1927, if you're Lutz, at the cost of $75 for the first 3 minutes, adjusted for inflation. So pretty expensive phone calls back then. Of course, we now take getting free phone calls to just about anyone for free. So not much going on there. And we have people trying to rain on the bear parade today. Okay. It's transitory, okay? Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. I'm here. I don't know what happened. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Okay, what do we have here? I know we got some emails. Let's see. First, I guess we want to check out if we can, UMC. Please email me today with your questions, comments. Call me at 877-927-6648 and put messages in the den. PRQR, okay. Okay. United Microelectronics. Yeah, it's been around for a while. As far as I know, this has always been one of those low margin companies, and that's why I probably haven't paid a lot of attention to it. Especially anytime you say the word automotive, just know that the people on the other side of that, the automotive people buying chips and technology for their cars, are the cheapest bastards on the planet. That means they're always going to screw with you. They're not going to pay you. They're just 100 reasons why. If they flip a quarter, it's always going to land for them on heads. I don't like, can you make money? Is it a business? Yes. It's a hard business. It's not a high volume or high margin business. When I tend to look at companies in the semiconductor space, you want companies that are making something for $10 and selling it for $200, $500. And you look at companies like AMD, NVIDIA. These guys don't even make it themselves, but they want others like TSMC to make it for them. But I'm not a big fan right now of anybody that owns their own fab or makes their own chips. Intel, of course, a similar problem. They just fall behind, and when you have a monopoly like TSMC, it's very hard to ever catch up or spend that money. Intel looks like it's going to try 2473. Let's take a look at AMD just once again. Somebody said something in the den about the automotive manufacturers. When they build something, they're going to build a minimum of 100,000 of something. they don't even think about not making 100,000 of something or $1 million of something or $2 million. So every time they say, well, you could save a penny, they go, okay, there's 20,000, 100,000, 2 million. You know, they are, anytime that they can cut a half a cent off of anything. And the easiest way is just not to pay their folks, and hopefully they go bankrupt. I've seen that happen a variety of times, especially with interior manufacturers making parts for them, other places. They'll just say, yeah, we need 1 million of these. We need them now. Gear up. Ship us as much stuff as you can. And, of course, they've got 3 different companies all doing it, and they just won't pay them. And hopefully the people extended themselves too far, and they just go bankrupt, and they never have to pay them. But, you know, that kind of stuff goes on. Not great business ethics at automotive companies. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back, got a couple more emails, so we will take a look. We're talking about Joby a little bit, and big gap down here today. It was kind of like when I heard everybody telling you to just go ahead and buy Apple yesterday, and you should pay up for it no matter what, even though they may not make a lot more money or start growing again for a year and a half or 2 years. It just seems kind of nutty to get involved in something that you want to hold. Now, if you think everybody's going to get involved and a bunch of nutters are going to all decide to buy the stock and run it up like AMC or the other Robinhood stocks, that's one thing. But actually believe that they're worth a lot of money when they're selling nothing is always problematic. It is rare to see people come out with hardware. Software, it might come out sooner than you think. Hardware, it just isn't rushed very much. So building an entire brand new system, remember how many people have crashed over the years to build airplanes that are reliable? It's going to take a while. And I think this one was pretty easy to see. Everybody was wildly optimistic, too optimistic about what's going to happen in the future. Is it kind of an interesting product? Certainly is. Now, can you sell it? Maybe. Now, can you license it from the FAA or other places around the country or around the world? And that is a much bigger issue. Okay, so we got most of the things I wanted to talk about. We have some other emails here that I need to read as we watch what's going on here. So we're dipping down a little. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, it's hard. I'm just looking at it right now. I don't see any real bounce possible or probable, let me put it that way, since nothing's ever 100%. In fact, anytime I'm more than 80% confident, I generally close the trade because I know that I'm probably going to be wrong. When you're that sure of anything, that probably means that everybody else is that sure too, and they're already taking the other side of that trade. But anyway, as I said, probably 395 on the SPYs is a better place to be looking for some kind of bounce. No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to move it around here. Do I have anything else? Yeah, Brooklyn. I knew a guy that had one of those. Okay, so what I wanted to do here is go to the S&P 500 and look at the big movers of the day. FCX is down about almost 6% on the day. Did gap down and continue to go lower. Okay. I was wondering if this is a downgrade. I didn't see the news. Certainly it has come down. You got some okay volume for 2:30 in the afternoon. But as I said, a lot of these stocks just look like you were going to get exactly what I thought. And this is a good example, although not the textbook example of what happens. Is that you get a straight shot of higher. In this case, it was a pop back above the 3x3 on the 4th of January. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get like 10. It gets a little mushy back in here. Then you really fall below it for a couple of days. You go above it for a couple of days. And then the next move, this, like I said, this is not a textbook version of it. But generally what happens is once you start hitting that, you probably, especially if you gap through it like this, that you're probably, if you're long, you're probably very wrong. You gap down below the 3x3 on something like this that's had a time to make this pattern, that it is problematic. And generally that means you go right back to where you started. In this case, that'd be somewhere around 37.50 on Freeport McMoran. Okay. That's one. Let's see what else I'm looking at here. No, don't want that. Okay. Let's see what else we have. LUMN. Also lower on the day. Yeah. Certainly a high flyer at one time. I don't see anything that changes out here, but one of the bigger losers of the day. Let's see what we have for the bigger winners of the day. Dish. I think this has been a short squeeze for a handful of days. I don't think anything actually got any better for these guys. In fact, I think it's getting worse. I've had somebody actually ask me about the wireless 5G internet. We're getting some reviews from companies from Verizon and T-Mobile about using those internet connections to trade. It is fairly inexpensive. I think you can buy the device for $50, and it's $50 a month for the cell service for the internet. I don't know how many if there's a data amount or anything else. I know that they have a business version without limitations. But if you have a phone with them already, I think you can get that down to $25 for the device and $25 for the actual monthly cost. And that may be a good second backup if you're a very active trader and can't be off the grid for more than a few minutes. We talked again on the technology of traders that load balancing routers may be the thing for you too if you have multiple internet connections. That's a router that you can plug two different ISPs into, whether they're in this case wireless and one wired. But they'll, if one goes away or one's busy, it'll try to use the other one back and forth. But certainly there is some technology that's getting a little better and more affordable. Some people are actually now trying to go on the road with their trading and, of course, going on the water. Boaters, a great deal of them, keep an eye on their portfolios using the new Starlink system. I think they've got a new system, and I think it's $120 a month or $125. Then there's another one that's $200 for Starlink, and I'm not exactly sure since I don't have it yet. But they're shipping the all-weather satellite antennas for those systems too, and everybody seems to be leaving some of the other ones that were more like you could text, but that was about it. There wasn't high-speed internet. Anyway, a lot of stuff coming out to help us out with more stable internet connections using multiple devices like 5G internet. We'll be back in a minute.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
As we come back, got a question to take a look at gold, so we'll just look at the GLD here. We're going to go to our roving correspondent on gold, Mr. Perot.
There will be a giant sucking sound.
Well, it's certainly a giant sucking sound in gold. We're just making, right at new lows, around 1817 on gold. If you're going to raise rates, interest rates for longer and higher, it's not going to do well. I don't know what else you can say about it. You wanted to test this low, 168.16. That's the February 24th low. 6.5 million shares with less volume. You are not going to do that today. Now, you haven't quite got there on price, but you're close enough to that doji. You got 6.1 million shares already. So I'm going to say 7.5. You are going to break it. One of the other things I dislike, too, is you've got two gaps down in this. And when I have two gaps down, I always wait for a third. So you've got the third kind of today out here. It's about the same as the rest. But it kind of actually goes right into the one that was happened on the 15th. I think you're going to get actually one more plain one that's not mingled with a previous one, and that one would probably be a low. From the symmetry I'm looking here, that kind of puts you somewhere around 166 on the GLD. Of course, nothing like being long gold tomorrow when he pummels it for the next few hours in front of the Senate. I think he was he in front of the House today? He's in front of the Senate tomorrow. That is Jay Powell. I always think they abbreviated his name instead of it actually being Jay. But that is me. That confusion probably in for a lot of people that think that they're just aloof and using their first initial out there. Question, is anything going to happen on VXY? We do have a 4% pop in it, but not that much. The big problem here is it's now just become problematic that nobody thinks that the market can go lower. Even today, they're all talking about buying some kind of gap. I don't, maybe I get some different information tomorrow as I do the options tonight, and we look at 395 on the SPYs, and I'll think maybe differently. But I think we've just been red-pilled, especially on the economy, and everybody's going to have to figure out that there's not going to be some V bottom, but it's going to be kind of a gravelly, gnarly time at the bottom, and it's going to be more U-like. And that's probably on the high side of being optimistic. But that's it. Question about Tesla. Their shorts have kind of come down a little bit, but I still think that there are much better stocks to be short than Tesla at the moment, just because so many other people are short. I would love for this thing to really spike up like 10, 15, 20 bucks, get all the shorts out of it, and then instantly reverse itself. To me, that would be a much better pattern once you get the short sellers out of it. Generally, they do not let the suckers that got into it early short out. Okay, question about Amazon from Ron. AMZN. Look at it. Okay. Okay. AMZN, he said. You have that island reversal at the top, abandoned baby, whatever you want to call it, and that is just the death knell. You did it right on a pre-existing double gap, too. That's why I wrote the program the way I did, is to show these gaps and, support resistance levels the way that they work out. But certainly that was it. You gapped right above it. You gapped right back down below it the next day. 81.43 is the next major low, and 87 is a gap there that had okay volume, but you gapped up with a whole lot of volume. You ran all the shorts out. That's kind of what I'm talking about in Tesla. I would love to see the same thing. Run everybody out and then turn and go lower. Okay. Although I'm not a big fan of shorting Amazon, I think, again, there are a lot of other stocks that are problematic. Question from Andy about CCJ. It did gap down on lighter volume. There's about 425 active fusion reactors around the world for nuclear energy. You don't have a lot of volume here today. 2450 would be kind of where you would want to look at this coming back. There was a new company out last week, and its plan is to mass produce small nuclear reactors like 20 megawatts on an assembly line basis, and get the 10 to 12 years it takes to build one down to about 26 to 27 months. They've got some stuff. They're not using any new technology. The only thing they're doing, I'm trying to remember, what is it? Last Chance, Last Nuclear. I think that was the name of the company, Last Nuclear. Or Last Atomic. I'll have to think about it again. Anyway, it was kind of an interesting idea, but they showed how quick that you could bolt together the whole thing and why it would take probably another 2 months to finish it off. They did show how they could put all the major components up in a weekend from the components. But it ends up being kind of like a giant Lego set with different Legos being the different components of the facility, and everything would fit on a flatbed truck, and they could build it all in one space, in one spot, have all the equipment there to test it, put it together, and then bolt it together at the location. It seemed like a fairly interesting idea. I think that they're within a couple of years of actually building the first one, but it's still going to be a little ways away. Okay, as we continue to see whether or not 398 is going to hold. just toying with it. I continue to think 395 before you see any significant bounce. And I don't know how fast you're going to see that, but maybe tomorrow by the time Powell's done talking. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And as we look at the market right now, does kind of look like we've got a nice reversal going on over the last 3 days. The real proof in the pudding would be tomorrow, and that would be a break below the 3x3 displaced moving average. That would be 396.27, and actually it gets harder if we don't rally here. 398.91, a close under that. But you already have a fairly nice bar and decent volume. So if we see lower tomorrow, it's probably going to race after the 392.33 low in the SPY. That's the March 2nd, or certainly toward that way. But any break here should be rather problematic, and that would set up a retest of this gap on the next line at 394 to 380-ish, maybe 378-ish, back into this gap higher that kind of took the markets back up. You've got a lot of congestion in this area. And then, of course, a double gap comes back together at about 372. So, if we get down that far, we're probably going to go back and retest the lows back down around 362. So you got to watch out, make sure you have your stops in. I am fairly bearish and, about 80%. If I go 81, I'll have to cover. But I'm pretty sure that we've got a problem right here in River City, and that is probably, if we break these levels now, probably indicates that we have a bear market back and probably through the first week of May. That is historically the way that these set up when you break into bearish markets in the first part of March. Sell when you can, not when you have to. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most